departure from what we've been. We are now looking at trade as worker-centered, and Mr. Huda might say farmer-centered rather than corporate-centered trade policy, and that's important. Ohioans know in my entire career I never voted for a single trade agreement until USMCA. Since NAFTA was enacted, thousands of workers, Dayton to Lordstown, Lorain to Fremont to Mansfield, where I grew up, saw $30 an hour manufacturing jobs move to Mexico, where workers made no more than a couple dollars an hour for the same work. Independent economists at the Economic Policy Institute noted that in the first 11 years of the agreement, we lost 1 million jobs across the country. Mr. Davis certainly knows this. Numerous studies have confirmed the agreement had only a modest impact overall in GDP. The Mexican media pays attention to this hearing. We know that. I want to speak directly to workers there and in the U.S. The Brown-Wyden Rapid Response Mechanism, labor enforcement provisions were put in place to empower all workers to exercise their right to form a union, to alert us of any interference or strong-arm tactics of their labor rights. We've frankly seen that in both countries, in the United States and maybe in a bigger way in Mexico. Every worker should have a copy of her union contract. The success of this agreement depends on enforcement and implementation. So, Mr. Davis, my question is to you, and I enjoyed meeting you earlier briefly this morning. You raised concerns about implementation. Can you elaborate on the Independent Mexico Labor Exports Board's recommendation and what will need to take place to address them?
Senator, I would answer it this way to do it quickly. You remember that we had a problem at Goodyear. And the workers were fired for trying to start an independent union. They have not gotten their jobs back, although some of them are still trying. The same protection union that was at that Goodyear plant is the protection union that's at the General Motors plant in Salem. And it may be that the workers, despite having the company having 4 months and the union having a 4-month period to carry out this legitimation vote, they might still vote that contract down. But it's going to be real hard. They don't have a union, so even if they vote the contract down, Medina or another CTM union can come back the next day and try and get it. So this is, we're making progress here, but we have to do a lot more to push back on the protection union czars like Medina and some others who still control the Mexican labor force.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I want to make clear as we continue, and Senator Menendez had building on his comment question, that USMCA, most of us in this committee see USMCA as the minimum standard for trade agreements going forward, especially with countries that we do not have a long-standing relationship. We'll need much more robust enforcement of labor rights. Brown-Wyden is the basic position is so important. Speak to why this committee should view, Mr. Davis should view USMCA as the floor, not the ceiling for trade agreements around the world.
Just because of the risks that workers face on a daily basis, firing, blacklisting, pregnancy discrimination, which we mentioned, threats, beatings, murder in Mexico, there's still 9 cases of trade unionists who've been killed, including an American, that are unresolved, some of these going back 10 or 15 years. Employers, whether it's in the U.S. or Mexico, know that it's quicker and cheaper to fire the union leaders and drag out the legal process rather than agreeing. And, we want to change that balance. There are a lot of workers not just in Mexico, but in Central America, in Colombia, another place with a terrible labor rights record, who share that vision and that ideal. Until now, they haven't had the tools to do it. We think that we're starting to get some of those tools, and we want to get to work and build it.
Good, thank you. One final point, Senator Crapo. It's vital to my state. Our trade policy only works for American industries if we take enforcement of dumping and overcapacity issues seriously. It's why I've introduced our bipartisan bill, Leveling the Playing Field 2.0, to update our trade remedy laws to make sure we're enforcing our trade laws. against trade cheats around the world, including those who try to move product through Canada and Mexico to get around our laws. Senator Cassidy had brought up this point earlier. I thank the United Steelworkers for endorsing this bill. Thank you, Senator Craigwell.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Next, we have Senator